Good afternoon, COSI friends. It is indeed my pleasure to open the session up today and share with you some amazing information for today. It is a pleasure for me to introduce Linnell Forrest to you. Linnell is part of the COSI staff, but it brings a multitude of skills and talents into the fold. Linnell has been a web designer for over 20 years, and she also oversees our social media. She is skilled at providing analytics and guiding us through the use of those analytics. And she has a bachelor's of art and is a multi-talented artist, including even pottery. So we are fortunate to bring her, and her role for today's session is as interactive media specialist. So thank you so much, Linnell.
Oh, such a lovely introduction. Thank you, Judy. Well, it's my pleasure to be here today. I look forward to people jumping in and asking questions. I don't have a Slido today. I don't have any polls. And so I just kind of wanted to open up discussion about these things. And today we're going to talk about adding some interactive content to our Canvas courses, or just getting involved with them and getting used to them and finding out where we can use them and to help us with presenting our curriculum. Today we're discussing Articulate, and I have some examples for you and a little bit of adding them to Canvas with SCORM, at least some of the ways that I've tried. So today we'll be discussing the benefits of interactive and experiential content. So I'm one of those kind of people that learn by doing. There might be a variety of people in this professional development session that learn in a different manner. I hope I reach out to everyone watching this and participating in this. Today we'll be exploring some interactive objects, some that we created here in COSI, and I have one that inspired me a little bit, something I would like to do in the future. So I have an example there as well. So we'll cover interactive experiential learning. What is Articulate 360, and where can I get help? I have some examples today, and how we all can get started, and what is SCORM. So I picked out this image here because I don't know if you can see it, but there's a person walking by this wall that has a projection on it. And her movement is interacting with the wall and making it change. Otherwise, it would have been just a plain old wall. You know, who would notice this? I know if I was walking down this hallway, I would definitely notice this projection. And I would even feel like part of it because I had some kind of impression on it. So the most powerful words will remain unread unless you can keep the learner engaged. And this was said by James Bates. And I believe that if you really want people to understand, engage them, and show them how to use whatever you're trying to introduce, a new skill maybe, let them see how it can be used and encourage them to find new ways, innovative ways to use those skills. And can you imagine two-way experiences that are dynamic? I can. These are a few that I thought, well, this is kind of important. Some face-to-face and social professional encounters that we have. This is the everyday reality that we live in, to interact with each other. Today, we're having a synchronous professional development session. That's another two-way experience, collaborations, and of course, interactive and experiential learning experiences. And I pulled a little quote here from David Kolb. and how he emphasizes how experiences influence the learning process. And the process whereby knowledge is created through the transformation of experience. Knowledge results from the combinations of grasping and transforming the experience. And I was really inspired by this, this graphic and how things are learned or can be learned, and that it's a cycle. And we can go throughout this cycle over and over again.
And I will just add in, if you don't mind, Linnell, here, the the real value, the importance of experiential learning. There are many fields within the university where students are expected to get out into the field and experience. So this it provides us a great way to get moving in that direction.
And I do like that quote that I'm going to go back a couple steps here. You can't see their eyes to know if they got it. So say it, show it, write it, demo it, and link it to an activity. So sometimes we can't see the learner's eyes because, it's remote or, it's a non-synchronous. So reach out with as many examples as you can, and invite that kind of collaboration so that we can exchange ideas. So what is Articulate 360? Articulate 360 is like this, a very large package, and now they're combining a lot of different portions that like a few years ago were separate. Rise is becoming under the same kind of license. So if you want to learn everything, you will. Storyline, we're going to concentrate on Storyline today, but there are other portions of Articulate that we might be interested in the future. And this is Articulate's description of themselves. And I've also heard people say that it's PowerPoint on steroids. I've heard that people say that it's a different way of teaching by doing. So if I decided I want to learn Articulate, where am I going to find support? Of course, Articulate, the company itself, offers support on their website, and they have a beautiful YouTube channel. There's also a place called eLearning Heroes, and I found some really nice tutorials on LinkedIn. So I put those URLs in this presentation. I do like bulleted items. There's information that's right there. You don't have to seek for it. It's right there. It's all delineated quite nicely. But it's easy to glance over this type of thing. And in this example, for this particular slide, it's a little bit too much information for the slide itself. So I wanted to go into an example of how to doll that up. Let me click on this link here, and this is going to take you to something that I created over the weekend. Here we go. We're going to start this guy. And so here's a slide that has, in my opinion, way too much information. It has valuable information, but it's something that if it was presented in maybe 10 slides or so, I might glance over this because of the gray background, maybe because of lettering is just too much text. What would be a better way to present the same information? This is one solution where we have actual characters inside the activity. And these are people who have taken on roles within a meeting. And so if we click on them, we can see that each person shows up, and you can't miss this. It's right, very bold. This is the leader's role, and these are the details about this character. Each character has their own information, and the learner can go throughout clicking on any of the characters, sometimes maybe twice. It doesn't matter, but it's up to them to put their imprint on, making the effort and clicking on something and actually see something happen. It is engaging. Thanks, Mary. And here's another example. In this case, this is not a drag and drop. This is like a piece of paper with some directions on an activity. Mary helped me out with this one. But she actually told me to do it, not help me out. She's like, you guys do this. And so we developed this one together. And you can imagine that I hand out a piece of paper with these items and ask learners to rank them by writing in a number according to the directions 1 through 10. Now, in this case, it's on paper and you're kind of committed. Once you pick the position of one of these things, you're going to rank them, you're pretty much committed to, just handing it in as is. But what if we could give somebody the ability to sort them? We can move these down. And what if I forgot? I didn't see this one down here. That's one of the things I like the most. I put that at the top. Oh, I like animals too. And so, spirituality, that's a good one. So it gives the person an opportunity to rearrange things before they hit this continue button and commit to something. Some people have specifically asked me to present on labels. And I gotta say, I really learned a lot creating this particular activity because I realized as I repeated the testing of it and just kind of going through it, I started learning what these actually are. When I was given the microscope project, I didn't know what these things were, but I'm learning. And it's mostly because I'm interacting. And as you can see, as I bring the labels down to the position on inside the activity, the label's either going to turn green or not. And this helps the learner understand, well, maybe they should keep trying. If they say, well, I'm done, I don't want to continue anymore, they can, but it's going to tell you that you're incorrect. And this is this particular activity is graded. So it is worthwhile.
It looks like you have learned a good deal in this process about using a microscope, Lynette.
yeah, yeah, I'm getting better. I know what the illuminator is. I know let's see if I want to impress everybody with how much I know now. Now is the process of elimination here. There we go. And it'll tell me that it was correct. Yay! Yeah, I did okay. And here is another drag and drop, a different kind of way of identifying parts of a cell. And here the learner can move items before selecting to continue. What I like about this activity is that you can do it over. And I am kind of I kept the answers secret though. So the colors are only changing to blue no matter what, because I kind of wanted the students to see if they were correct. And the next slide will tell them if they, but it also allows them to try again, which I like. So this is a low stakes learning tool where the students or the learners can go back and forth and see if they got things correct or not. And this is here, and this is the cytoplasm. And I started learning about parts of the cells. There you go. Hooray! And I think I have one more. Yes, okay, so this one I did not develop. But I want to start learning about scenario-based activities. And what that means is there's different pathways that the learner can take in this activity. And each pathway has a different outcome. And so in this case, when you're building this kind of thing, it's good to have like a flow chart. And I'll show you why. So we click on the example. And we have a variety of choices that show up. I'm going to say I'm ready. Here we go. And these choices, whatever you pick, is going to be a different path. And how you answer is going to determine the outcome. I keep on coming up with the coach, no matter what I choose.
That's a really cool activity. I like
It
that.
is. It is. And it's fun to do because the graphics are very nice. And so I think the activity really gets, Tim says it's nice. I like it too. So I think the graphics are very nice and alluring. I think that it's easy to read, and
They add to the engagement as well.
seems a little magical to me. And I got that one from the e-learning heroes, which I linked in this presentation. So how can I get started? Because FAU does not have a site license, I encourage people who want to learn Articulate to at least see at least what kind of engagement they can encourage through an interactive materials in their course.
So perhaps Marcella could add some information to that as well.
Hi, good afternoon. So just to add on to what Linnell just said, so we do not have licenses for tryouts. We do recommend if you want to get acquainted with the software, I believe Articulate gives 30 days, if I'm not mistaken. There is plenty of videos that they also provide, so you can follow along and try out the software. But I believe that, you know, if you want to get access to the actual license, I'm not sure if the departments is that something that they offer, but if you do have work with us in an e-design or CDU, we do the media portion of it, so we would be able to to create the interactive media for you, based on your directions and how you would like to, just basically as we do the other media and videos, with direction of um the faculty member. We will create that for you.
And I can go over our examples again if somebody wants me to. These are some of the things that we built here. And there's more, but I didn't want to like show a bunch of examples.
Yeah, Linnell, I was actually going to ask you to run the scenario example with, because I would like to see like the path. So what happens? How many layers are there before you actually discover the kind of leader that you are? That was pretty cool. I would like
Yeah,
to see it again.
yeah, this is very cool. So the path is, if you can imagine, it's kind of like a flow chart, where if I select uh, the first option,
Okay,
we're going to go with the results, but then it asks me another question.
very nice.
So I can go either in this path or this path. So now we branch off in two different areas.
Thanks for your presentation. I was really interested or beginning of it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stop you in the middle either.
My pleasure.
I had started using Captivate for redesigning one of my courses a couple months ago, and then kind of tabled it for a little while, and I'm just getting ready to start back in with Captivate. And I was just curious what they seem to be pretty similar products. I was curious what your impression is of one, the similarity between Articulate and Captivate or Camtasia, and also particularly the learning curve involved versus those two.
It's a good question. They do. I should have created a comparisons list. I didn't think of it until now, thanks. But I think I should create a comparisons list. If you want to, you can go on Google and compare them, say, Captivate versus Articulate. You can do things like that. In my opinion, I found Articulate to be more robust as far as, well, the pathways are pretty much similar because it's kind of like a multiple choice type of thing. But Articulate does more than drag and drop in multiple choice. Labeling is something that I don't think Captivate can do. I'll look again and see. It's a drag and drop type of thing, but it's also based on multiple choice. Let's see if I can answer.
So how about the learning curve? I mean, I felt pretty comfortable with Captivate after a few days or maybe even 2 or 3 weeks of using it on and off, but it certainly, it makes sense once you understand it, but it took a while to kind of really understand the flow, particularly the formatting where it uses the floating boxes so that your presentation adapts to various resolution screens.
Okay, responsive design, yes.
Yeah, the responsive, exactly. So I guess one of my big curiosities is just how you felt about the learning curve for it, how intuitive it is. Like we're used to PowerPoint, for those of us using it, it's just such an intuitive tool, but like I said, Captivate, jumping to it was not so intuitive, even though in some ways it has some similarities to PowerPoint. So I was just kind of curious what you felt about Articulate and learning to use it.
Surprisingly enough, it was not intuitive in the beginning. So what I did to remedy that is to just do the simplest things that I could, which was ranking. Let me go backward a little bit and show you what that is. So the easiest thing was this guy. And I think because of that, it helped me build enough confidence to go to the next example, or maybe learning the timeline or learning the pathways, linking slides together. I think the learning curve will kick in as you go into maybe e-learning heroes support and see if somebody else has done it. And the way I like to learn stuff is a question comes up in my head. I'm like, I wonder if somebody else has done this. And really, that's the best way that I learn. So a learning curve is funny that way because sometimes people say, well, I've never seen a timeline before. And some people are acquainted with it. And it's not something that is always part of an interactive activity, but can be. So, but understanding paths is, I believe, the common thing amongst all of these softwares is understanding I'm going to go from here to there.
Linnell,
And
I have a question about that. How about using their built-in templates? Does that help understand those paths?
absolutely, because you can go from the scene view over to the production view and back and forth. The scene is like this bird's eye view of how things are placed together. It's kind of a little like a puzzle. So you can see all these blocks. And sometimes they're just sequential or linear. They just go along in a line, but sometimes they do break up in paths. And they go from, let's say that there's a multiple choice and I didn't do well. I didn't get that answer correct. Maybe I set the pathway, instead of going linear, maybe I wanted to take, the side road there and revisit that question a couple more times, saying the question in a different way. And then having the learner come back to the linear. And so, hindsight, I should have created a flow chart to show everyone, but I hope that I can get the idea across that you can begin the activity continue to the next step, and deviate from a linear progress if it's required. And you can come right back if you want to. I'll go back to
Janelle,
my.
I know you're going to talk about graded and ungraded. When you
Uh-huh.
talk about graded, there's a question about how much testing has been done with the Canvas grade book. So when you get to talk about that, that was a question in the chat.
Yeah, we did a lot of testing with this, having students test out the SCORM Graded and seeing the results in the grade book. And they work well together. If you assign it to have points, the points show up in your grade book. If you assign it to be pass fail, you get a check mark inside the grade book if it passes, if the activity is passed. Let's show you some examples. So when I'm exporting the activity in Articulate, I'm going to, for today, I don't know if you can see, but there's a choice for web in there, and that's going to give you your HTML5. Ignore the Flash stuff because I guess they didn't catch up. They should pull out the Flash. It's no longer supported. But here, what I've done here is I chose the LMS tab and SCORM 1.2. Let me go to the next screen so that we can see that go backward, you can see that tracking, report and tracking button is a nice thing to click on when you're exporting. And these are the options that I chose and that have been successful with the things that I've been putting into Canvas. And I'm constantly experimenting to see, what is better, but this has worked so far. I have made the Articulate activity a pass fail, and inside of Canvas, I edited my assignment to have whatever I want, points, percentage, pass fail, completed, incomplete. Sometimes when you get into your Canvas course, you're not going to see SCORM in your navigation bar, and that's easily remedied by going into your settings. And I'm pretty sure everybody attending understands where the navigation is and how to change it and bring SCORM from the bottom up into your course navigation area and saving that. And if not, I can talk about it some more, but I'm sure everybody has done that. And then, let's see, and you can go back into, as an instructor, students do not see SCORM in the navigation bar. It's just something that the instructor sees. And in here we have the new navigation bar with SCORM. I click on that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my .zip file. So I go into SCORM and I select upload. And then it's going to go through the process of uploading. You can see upload bar. And then here is where I can choose import as graded assignment or import as ungraded assignment. And I have not tried import as a page yet, so I have yet to try that one. And it's going to show up inside your assignments area. And that's when you can click on it and you can publish it. Pretty much everybody who's attending today, I'm sure they understand the assignments area. But you can edit this and you can choose how it's presented to the student, including if it opens up in a new page, how long it's available to the learners, and what the percentage or points are going to be. And those are going to show up in your gradebook or in the grades area. Yes, you can. You can test it out as a test user, and that should show up in your grades area. And that's it. I'm afraid. I think we're running out of time anyway, but I think if we have time for a few more questions, if there are any.
Yeah, and we do have a few minutes, and Linnell, this has been amazing. And we are going to let everyone know that that you will, first of all, be receiving this presentation, but you will also be receiving Linnell's email if you want to address some specific questions to her too.
As I'm learning about this, I'm also looking on the website. There's a website, Elucidat, that is ranking tools of this type, and Articulate is on that list. but as one of the cons, it mentions that, let me read it exactly, Articulate lacks accessibility options. So in my mind, that means, you know, in PowerPoint, you can, I forget exactly what you call it, but you put a title on the image. I forget what the accessibility term for that is.
Alt tab.
So are those features not available in Articulate? Because then that would mean we wouldn't be able to use them in fully online courses, correct?
Well,
Alt text, thank you, Maria, that's right, alt text.
so yes, absolutely. This is a big concern for Articulate and RISE especially. Um, what we have been doing is offering 2 different versions of, you know, it's a low stakes interactivity, and what I highly recommend and experimenting with. Articulate has had several conferences, online conferences about their tools and specifically accessibility. And they're making strides in making RISE more accessible and Storyline more accessible.
Okay, thank you for that information.
And I'm sure it's something that will be coming pretty quickly, because accessibility is something that everyone is focusing on with a great deal of intent.
I had one more question if I could ask. Do you recommend, I don't know if Articulate gives you the option, in Captivate we have the choice between SCORM 1.2 or 2004. Do you recommend one over the other? I can't remember which one I had some problems with, but
I tested them both out. I tested them both out. I also tested out Tin Can, and my favorite was 2.1.
1.2 or 2004?
I have to go back. I thought for sure it's 2.1. Let me take a quick
Or maybe
look.
I don't have the 2.1 option in Captivate.
Let's make sure I know what I'm talking about here.
Yeah, 1.2.
1.2. Did I say 2.1? I'm sorry. I meant 1.2.
No problem. I was just curious if you found that one worked better than the other.
But that's the one I found that worked the best for this particular thing. So the choices I chose was LMS. Today's examples were done in web. That was HTML5, and I was presenting them through the web. But in this case, let's say I want to add them to Canvas. As, you know, it doesn't have to be SCORE related, as we saw. In this case, I use SCORM 1.2, and these are the options that I chose for tracking and reporting. Specifically for, see, if I chose the drop downs for final assessment and when the learner completes a quiz. And all these choices are good to go through and test out to see what works for you best.
Thanks.
And you could see in her examples that Linnell actually created a test site, a test course for using these, so that she could go in and try different things out to see what works. And that's always a good lead to follow for anything that we're trying out that we haven't actually used before. Is a set up a test site and try it out, see what happens.
And I believe that everybody, all instructors in Canvas have the ability to create a test course. Is that correct, Judy?
Yes, they have the ability to create a course. We refer to it as dev or a sandbox course, but yeah, just you can set up a course that will not ever have students in it, just a place to try things out. Absolutely. And so with that, I'm going to say, Linnell, thank you so much for sharing one of the many aspects of your expertise with us today. This has been enlightening for me, certainly. And so I'm grateful that you are sharing this with us at this point. Thank you. And thanks everyone for joining us.